The next chapter is about making connections. All right. So after reading this chapter, you should be able to list the 4 components of all interface standards, discuss the basic operation of USB interface standard, recognize the difference between half duplex and full duplex, cite the advantages of FireWire, Thunderbolt, SCSI, iSCSI, Infinity Band, and Fiber Channel Interface standards. Outline the characteristics of synchronous, asynchronous, and isosynchronous, synchronous, and isochronous data link interfaces. So we have 3. And identify the operating characteristics of terminal to mainframe connections and why they are unique compared to other types of computer connections. All right, I'll go further. Introduction. So this is just a introduction. Let's skip it. Interfacing a computer to peripheral device. So this is called interfacing. The connection to a peripheral is often called the interface. The process of providing all proper interconnections between a computer and a peripheral is called interfacing. All right, this is the process. This is a definition. Then we can keep going. And we have different interface standards. One of them, the primary organization involved in making standards are ITU and EIA and IEEE and the ISO standards and the ANSI. This is American, all right? So this is a global ITU, and this is global or European, I believe. And this is also European, but global standards. And this is non-government, the EIA. This is non-government organization. All right, let's keep going. All right, the de facto standard, if it happens on occasion, a company will create a protocol that, although not official standard, becomes so popular that other companies start using it. In this case, the protocol is considered a de facto standard. So it just popped up in the market and everybody or many people start using it. So it became like a de facto standard, like practical standard, okay? And then we have the regular standards, the electrical component, the mechanical components, and functional components, and procedural components, and early interface standard, USB. And this is the most popular. Before that, RS-232 and EIA 232F. And data terminating equipment, DTE, and data communication equipment, DCE, and a full duplex connection. It's like two-way communication at the same time. Half duplex is two-way communication, but not at the same time. Simplex is just one-way communication. And USB, Universal Serial Bus, all right? And we have, okay, daisy chaining, like connecting peripheral to a peripheral to USB peripheral to another one to another one to another one. They can be a chain up to 265 or 256, sorry, 256 or 55 devices. And here is USB connectors, and this is type A, this is type B, This is mini USB. This is micro USB. And now there is a type C USB that is used in many cell phones and HP tablets. All right, and then we can keep going. Other interface standards: FireWire in the 90s. Sorry, it's a type of interconnection between peripheral devices and a microcomputer, and it's like video cameras. All right, high-speed digital video cameras. And FireWire is an easy-to-use, flexible, low-cost digital interface that's capable of supporting transfer speed of up to 400 megabits per second. All right. Provided service. All right. And here we continue. FireWire supports two types of data connections: asynchronous and asynchronous. Both of these. So we can just continue. Thunderbolt is another one. It is currently found in Apple laptops and so it's used in Apple laptops, provide 10 gigabit connection to peripheral devices. All right, so it's Thunderbolt in Apple devices. I don't see it here in my Apple, but I think it's existing somewhere. And Lightning connector, it's also Apple. It's an 8-pin connector designed to replace older 30-bit connector. It can be found, it's primarily connected in the new version of Apple iPhone. Okay, it's in the iPhone. All right. While there are a number of advantages and the Lightning connector over, say, the USB micro connector, you cannot plug the Lightning in backward and can carry more power to its device. Many question why Apple decided to go with the proprietary contract rather than the industry standard, such as USB. The reader is left to form a conclusion here. Competency. SCSI and iSCSI, small computer system interface, is pronounced SCSI, is a technique of interfacing computer to high-speed devices such as hard disk drives, tape drives, and this is used in servers. And iSCSI, Internet SCSI, is a technique of interfacing disk storage to a computer via the internet. iSCSI. All right. And infinite band and fiber channel. Infinite band is a serial connection or bus that can carry multiple channels of data at the same time. It can support data transfer of 2.5 billion bits, 2.5 gigabits per second. That's very fast. 5 gigabits per second double data rate, and 10 quad data rate. Interesting. Fiber or Fibri channel. Similar to infinite band, that it too is a serial high-speed network and connects to computer multiple input and output. Fibri channel also supports data transfer rate up to billions of bits of seconds, but it can support interconnections of up to 126 devices only. Anyhow, data link connections. All right. And we have the data link asynchronous connection. A single character or a byte is the unit of transfer between the sender and the receiver. The sender prepares the data character, transmit that character, then begins preparing the next. All right. So it has a frame, start bit, stop bit, and party bit. Just like this example of character with this one start bit, one stop bit, and even party. All right. Example of one character string hello. Okay. Then we have the synchronous connection. The unit of transmission is a sequence of characters. This sequence of characters may be thousands of characters inside. Similar to the way start, stop, and party bit frames, data and synchronous connection. The start sequence flag, control byte and address, checksum, and end sequence or flag frame. The data bit and synchronous connection. So flag, control, address, data, checksum, flag. A block diagram of the parts of generic synchronous connection. All right. So we have the synchronous and asynchronous. The isochronous. An isochronous is a special kind of data link connection used to support various types of real-time applications. Example of real-time applications used include streaming voice, video, and music. A real-time application is unique in that its data must be delivered to a computer at just the right speed. If the data is delivered too slowly, then the music will distort, or the video will break up. If the data is delivered too fast, the receiving computer might not be able to buffer the data, which might result in data being lost. As we learned earlier in this chapter, both USB and FireWire can support isochronous connections, so FireWire and USB. Before any data transfer can begin, however, the proper isochronous resource must be allocated within the connection. To perform this allocation, the sender and receiver exchange a number of initial packets would determine, among other things, what channel will be used to transfer data and the bandwidth that is necessary. Among issues resolved, another issue resolved between the sender and the receiver is that error checking should be disabled on both ends. Error checking should be disabled, so no error detection or correction. Isochronous. All right. Terminal to mainframe computer connections. So this is basically when point-to-point, multi-point connections of terminal. So when you don't need really a smart device, or they call it thin client, they use terminals and they connect it to a really powerful device. Point-to-point connection, a multi-point connection. All right. So this is a multi-point connection. This is a point-to-point connection, or star. All right. And technical polling allows only one terminal to transmit at one time. Successfully controls multiple channels poll. You go around them, then you repeat the round, then you repeat, then you repeat. You keep polling. And during this period, the mainframe computer was called the primary, and each terminal is called the secondary, and this is called the roll call polling. Okay. Terminal A, B, and C being polled by primary. All right, so host A, host B, host C, repeat, just like that. Hub polling is different. Selection, all right. Making computer connections in action. RJ45 connector is the same one that connects the Cat5, Cat5e, Cat6, and Cat7. That's the end of it. All right. RJ11 is the one used for the analog phones. It's not really used anymore. PCMCI A card is used to transfer data. SD card, SDH, XD, Type H, CMS, MS Pro, all these types of cards. These are the video DisplayPort connectors, DVI or HDMI or VGA. All right. The summary of the chapter. The key terms: USB Universal Serial Port. SCSI is the small computer system interface, and the like. And review questions are very interesting. Then we have exercises, of course, and thinking outside the box. A computer manufacturer wants to streamline its products by producing a computer with a single universal USB connector and no other connectors. Is that a good idea? A computer manufacturer wants to streamline its products by producing USB. Is that a good idea? Is it even possible? Explain. Can you streamline using a USB? Not possible. Well, it's possible in a certain limit because USB and FireWire is asynchronous, so they can transfer streams and disable the error checking, the error detection and correction, of course. And yeah, it's possible. It's not a good idea though, because streaming is through the net and depends on to how many users he wants to do that, and the bandwidth needs to be calculated to decide. How does the asynchronous connection compare to asynchronous and synchronous connections? Compare the application and efficiency of all three. So the asynchronous is like when it starts, it doesn't stop. Otherwise, if you transfer data too fast, they will get lost. If you transfer data too slow, it will flicker and no error connection or detection. This is the isochronous. The asynchronous is for a unit of byte and one by one. The synchronous is for a big stream of frames, and it has the start flag, the end flag, and the error check, just like this asynchronous, but it's larger scale. Synchronous is larger scale than asynchronous. All right. And which one is more efficient? Is the synchronous is the best. Hands-on project. Let's see the first one. One older interface standard called X.21. How does it compare to USB? What signals, in addition to T, C, R, and I, are used in X2.21 interface standards? So to answer this question, we need to go back. So this is page 143. We need to go back and search for that. Now we are on this page, but if we go back to page 22, I think we'll be able to see something like that, or in fact, maybe we don't need to go that further. We can go back manually, X.22, and here somewhere we can find it. Not in the summary, of course, because I've seen lots of these connections recently here, but we're just skimming, so we can't really answer all questions without going back and reading details. So X.21, I don't see it here. We don't see it here. Synchronous, asynchronous, and all these are not related really to the X.21. Here, I don't see it. SCSI. Hi SCSI. The internet SCSI, okay. Thunderbolt. Apple Thunderbolt, okay. And if we keep going, the FireWire is not really related to the X.21, and other interface cards is not really here. Okay. USB, and here. All right. I don't see anything related to the X21. USB 2, USB 3, easy chaining. All right. Interface standards. Interfacing. Introduction. So I can't really see anything related to that. Let me search one more time. And see in page 22, it says hands-on lab allows you such as X.21. And here in the questions, they just mentioned X.21. But it's not mentioned anywhere else. Let's see if we can search. 144. No, that's not really related. Yeah. One older interface standard called X25. How does it compare to USB? What signals? So this might require some Googling, like you search it over the net, because I don't see anything in this reference talking about the X21. But we have the TC and R. Let me go back a little bit here. TCR and I are used in the X interface standard. Well, I've seen the TC and R. Okay, there was a table somewhere here. All right. This is A, B, C. Okay. TCR. This is a tough question. I admit that. Anyhow, let's go to the next one. The asynchronous protocol at first prepared described an option 1.52 stop bits. Why would anyone need to use 1.52 stop bits? Yeah, because it has the start and the stop. So it's by bits. It's like small pieces. So it has a flat. It has Synchronous, asynchronous. Right. Here we go. So data link connections asynchronous, right? Asynchronous, this one here. It says start bit, frame, and stop bit. So example of a character A with one start bit, one stop bit, and even party. So start bit, stop bit, and even party. 1, 1.5, and 2. This is to start. It's like I'm gonna start sending. This is to end, and this is to check, like for error correction and detection. All right. And here's an example of sending a hello string. So start bit, then party, then stop, then start bit, then party, then the string, then party, then stop, and keep going. All right. Create a list of different products that use a USB interface. A list of different products, printers, plotters, cameras, scanners, lots of products really uses the USB. What are some of the more creative products? What is the question 4, hands-on project? What is the latest status of the FireWire standard? Is it going to explain your response? It's not really the FireWire is really not widely used because it's not really distributed, and USB has so many variations. It has USB 1, 2, and 3, and it has USB A, B, C, and D, and mini USB. So it has it's widely adopted, and it proved itself as a de facto standard more than the FireWire. The FireWire is like disappearing. Do you think the Thunderbolt standard will compete well with the USB standard? No, because the Thunderbolt is only used in Apple products. Do you think USB standard will try to catch up to Thunderbolt? USB is already widely used. Even Apple products, they support USB, but they also have the Thunderbolt standard. So no, they won't compete. And we'll start chapter 5.